agenda
Yeah.
is
Who's next?
Breakin Convention.
Woo! Review time.
So I was supposed to go to Breakin Convention, and
was
I was supposed to do a review of what I thought on the Saturday night, which was the press night. Massive shout out to Sadler's
Yes.
and Lucy at
Yes.
Sadler's, who was very kind and invited the capsule to review the show. Now, when it came to the leading up to the week, Luke started to feel shingly, and on the night of Breakin Convention, I was writhing in agony.
Writhing in agony.
he was
Very good.
peaking.
That was
Peak
top
pain.
If you've never had shingles, guys, first of all, don't Google image it. Second of all, it's one of the most painful things, legit, and I'm not exaggerating, on the level of my neck tattoo pain, but for 8 hours for 3 nights, pretty much 2.5 nights.
He slept under a tripod.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what?
Because I could, you can't say that without context. I had also like fevers and flu symptoms, so I was like freezing. But if I put the
Sweating.
blanket, it's like on my side and it hurts. So I had to, I put a tripod in the bed so that I could put the covers over the top, have space underneath, and like it was actually worked perfectly. I was like, this is great. They should invent a little thing for that.
It was my idea.
Yeah, it was Jen's idea, but it was sick. Anyway, so that's where I was on the Saturday night.
So back to Breaking Convention.
Yeah.
Shingle shangles.
So in my place, the lovely Genevieve Lou went to check it out and to bring us her thoughts, because she is also if you don't know, Jenny is not only the person that comes on here and just throws in funny comments. She also is a producer who works heavily in the theatre and contemporary dance world.
Yes.
She's not going to say this, but I'll say it. Pretty fucking high level in what she does and knows her shit and has a lot of experience. Just a couple of light trips to China later this year, couple of light trips to Australia, been in Saudi twice last year, just traveling the world, producing, learning. So yeah, she knows her shit when it comes to theatre stuff. So yeah, Jen is going to regale us with her tales of Breakin Convention.
Yeah.
Maybe some highlights. What do you think of the whole event? Tell us some stuff.
Okay. I think, in terms of the whole event, here are my thoughts generally speaking.
Yeah, let's start general and then go
I'll get
specific.
into, exactly.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, I think it's, I've been there for a few years now. And I didn't go last year, but I have been to a couple editions. And, I think that one of the thoughts that I had this year being there is like, previously I kind of had mixed feelings about the fact that it's such a mixed bill, with some pieces that are very like more experienced theater, like real, not necessarily like real theater, but
That high concept.
Like that's their
narrative kind of stuff.
And then some that are very like kind of showcase and like youth companies and all of that. So it kind of creates like a big range in what you experience. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, let me just appreciate also the experience of what it means to be there, to be on the same stage as a youth company, as, people that you might look up to. And also the fact that I think Breakin Convention is its own thing and it's kind of part of the institution of the UK hip hop scene. But the fact that it's successful and that it is that very mixed bill is that often because there isn't enough other things that are out there, other hip hop nights that are out there, we kind of put pressure on Breakin Convention
to be everything,
and it should be more like this or it should be more like that. But no, there should just be other things that offer a different experience.
And one thing is, as we spoke about this on the podcast with John Z, but it's like, it's a platform. Even John Z doesn't think it's the only platform. Right. It's like, he might, that's also what, the pressures of being the best. But if you're up there, people are going to start putting, like, you should be doing this. Like, you have to cater to all the real theatre, you have to cater to all the youth companies, you have to cater to everything from every country. And it's like, also but it's people's brains don't work like that. They don't think, I'm going to start my own theatre show to have a different, to offer something else.
or
to cater to the niches that Breakin Convention don't cater to. And it's like, it's also, people's, it's his platform and they can do it how they want, which is, you can't really ever, I mean, now I'm saying that because it's also how I feel with the capsule, with people tell us how to do things, but it's like, it's one platform.
Yeah.
But it's a fucking good one.
Yeah. I have to say though, it was a long evening. Show,
is that 4 hours, huh?
Like a show started at 6. I was leaving by like 10:30, 10:40. Yes.
One interval?
Thank goodness.
Yeah. One interval.
Yeah, I think my question would be around the like standing people.
Yeah.
And if they did, why? Yeah. And also, did they enjoy it? Because standing for 4 hours is a while.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I was like, because we had the press tickets. So I was with somebody and she was like, oh, I usually every time I come, I'm in the pit. Like, let's go in the pit. And I was like,
no.
You suit yourself. I will be
see you later.
Right
upstairs
here in my seat.
Yes.
But yeah, so, but it was a lovely evening, and it's kind of like Christmas for dancers a little bit. It's like everybody is the reunion. You see a bunch of people you haven't seen in a long time. So I'll just kind of go through a few highlights.
Yeah, what were your favorites? So bearing in mind, there was 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday. This is only for the Saturday, so we missed a few on the Sunday. Yeah. Special shout out to Lauren Scott, because I really wanted to see her piece.
Same.
But it was on the Sunday. I mean, I was sick anyway, but it was on the Sunday, so I wouldn't have been able to see it. But I do want to check it out. She is one of my favorites of that generation.
She did III, didn't she?
Yes, she had great things to say.
Oh my goodness, what a G. But just fun fact that I offered to go to her. She didn't have anyone to go to her tech, so I offered went a week early.
Oh, Talladega. That's hilarious.
That's not a me thing.
Yeah. She told you the wrong date.
No, she didn't.
That's not a you thing. Like, you wouldn't usually do that.
I wouldn't usually do that.
So did you actually get there to Saddlers?
Yes.
That's
and
hilarious.
I was like, I'm here for the BC Tech, and she was like, there's
you actually went in and spoke?
I don't know why in my head it made sense that they were taking it a week prior. Yeah. I don't know, like a programming thing. I don't know. Yeah. But I think it's when we spoke in person, she said next Thursday, or that's what I heard. So when she sent me had the coming one,
yeah.
But then when she resent me the screenshot, I was like, why are you there? I said this. I was like, you did.
You're like, correct.
Dan and you were busy.
Yeah, I couldn't go, so I missed it. But she's
she's great.
A gangster.
Have you seen the visuals of it?
Yeah.
It's like on the box
plinth,
and
yeah.
Anyway, back to the things that someone here did see.
Yeah, we're talking whole load of talk about stuff that we never saw. Yeah,
so
we've got the Breakin convention topic. Me and Tals
we got it covered.
Yeah.
So highlight for me was, or one of the highlights was Max.
Oh yeah,
Ravel.
Shout out to Silky Silk.
I loved the trailer.
Yeah,
with his clothes on backwards.
Yeah,
with Crisscross. We'll make you jump. Was that the soundtrack?
No.
Okay.
But
I'm surprised you know that song. You don't know Jay Dilla.
Come on. Oh. I think it was just such a beautiful transition or adaptation of how much illusions and characters are a big part of popping, but translating that to a theater context and a theater stage, and kind of course the technique and the dance vocabulary, but also these elements of the dance that are so predominant. I think how that goes into how that's used as a storytelling tool, and in addition to the fact that he's a great dancer, but I was just super in it the whole time, and I think it was, I'm not sure how long it was exactly, but it was about 10 minutes, but I just thought it was so, beautiful to watch, but also you kind of got into a story, and it's just in terms of popping and putting it in a theater context, it's one of the best that I've seen that if we're not talking about showcases but more
theater work,
storytelling.
Sick. And I think it's obviously Max works with Akram Khan, and he's works in theater, so he's understanding a bit more stuff, but it's a whole different set of way of doing things. If you're popping for a battle or for a showcase, it's very different from how you fit those things. You can't come in with the same way of choreographing or way of performing, I guess.
So that was kind of one of my, or not kind of, that was one of my highlights in terms of pieces of the night. I also really loved the Ghetto Funk Collective piece. For me, this
was it a piece?
Well, this is the thing that why I liked it so much. It's like, this is the highest, or not the highest, but in terms of doing a showcase, this for me is how a showcase should be done.
Right. As in, what do you mean by showcase?
Like, in the sense that it doesn't have a narrative or a very kind of like a storytelling.
Right, it wasn't like a traditional dance theater.
Yeah, but it's a showcase in a sense that it's very much about the energy and the vibe on stage and highlighting the different dancers and, you know, kind of showing that. But, you know, so there was a lot of choreography, but there was also a lot of moments for individuals to stand out, but where it's not just like, okay, now you have 2 counts of 8, and then they have 2 counts of 8, and then everybody looks there. And it was super stylish. The music was really good. There was like moments that they introduced bits of set where it's like, okay, you know, you're in a different section, and they like transition where it's not, sometimes I feel showcases can be like, okay, this is piece number 1, this is piece number 2. So, and the way they did it was quite seamless, and it had like a bit of humor and playfulness in it.
Nice.
So and you know, of course, also that's without saying that the level of the dance was actually like, I mean, great. They're just insane.
Terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a really, really good balance between choreography, highlighting, like you can see that they're all freestylers.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because it's something that I was a little bit disappointed with them when they performed at UK Champs, which I think was maybe a year or 2 years ago, or maybe even a while before that. I can't remember when, but they did basically, like, I was hoping it would be like a whole, because I love their solo stuff and all the videos they put, so I thought it would be like a choreographed, and it was a bit more like 1-2-1, like showcasey, just taking turns to do solos. I felt so. It sounds like this is maybe an elevation of that. So maybe they've like
So I was watching it, you know, because sometimes when showcases go, for me, it's like, this is very my personal opinion, but sometimes when showcases are like more than 5-6 minutes, I tend to be like, okay, we get it,
because there's no through line or story keeping you going.
But then
check out my structure and presentation video.
But then this one I said like, oh, I could watch another showcase like no problem. So I think those are the two that really, really kind of stood out for me as thing. But another highlight of the night that I was not expecting, that had me crying.
Okay.
Crying?
Yeah. Is that
laughing?
No. Like emotion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Inabilities?
No.
Oh.
Is that
let me guess. No,
it's not on there.
It's not a piece.
I
know what she's gonna say.
Yeah,
so I do now.
The legendary twins, which are 2 breakers from New York that I think they're credited with being the first breakers to like go down on the floor. So prior to that, it was rocking, so everyone was dancing standing up. They were the first ones to take
or at least like pushed it, I guess.
Yeah, to like go down on the floor. So they came to Breakin Convention to give Jonesy a recognition from the state of New York,
and it's from the Breaking Hall of Fame, I think.
Oh, okay.
I want to say, I'm going to look that up because I'm pretty sure it's from the Breaking Hall of Fame.
Right. So, but it's a recognition in from the state of New York to Jonesy for his contribution to hip hop culture in the UK and generally, and they read the whole statement, like the whole thing from New York City, and it was so, you know, I mean, it's kind of a standard thing that everyone who gets that award gets, but it is like in recognition of what you have contributed to your community and to a culture that lives in a community, and that is what cities are made of, and that is what all of that. And Jonesy was just
in bits,
balling,
his caption stage. Of it is like, "This is the reason I was balling on stage."
Yeah.
So Jonesy, this is the article from
The Guardian. I think
The Guardian says. Yeah, Jonesy D turned down an MBE when he was offered one for services to dance back in 2011. But on stage at the 20th edition of Breakin Convention, the hip-hop theatre festival he founded, he did accept a more meaningful award from the State Assembly of New York, birthplace of hip-hop, for his work promoting the art form. 2 of the original B-boys, Keith and Kevin Smith, aka the legendary twins, turned up to present it. And his caption is, "This is the reason I was balling on stage."
Yeah. So I think and they were saying that they're now building the first museum of hip hop in New York City.
Wow.
And that,
why does it take so long? Anyway,
yeah, you know,
it's only been 50 years.
But that they were gonna make sure that there was a place for Jonesy in that museum for how he had been part of developing hip hop internationally. And I think it was, I don't know, for me there was also something, you know, so special about him being recognized by people who, you know, so I was talking about this, but you know, he's maybe somebody that people look up to get his recognition and his approval, you know, so for him to have a generation above him to recognize him, and also to see kind of grown men on stage.
A grown man cry?
No, but not cry, but in a sense like see and recognize each other and, you know, receive it and be grateful.
And like you start to see that it's like, because I think sometimes when you see people in positions of power or these gatekeepers or whatever you want to call them, you only think about your position relative to them. You're like, why doesn't Jonesy like me? Or I'm happy Jonesy likes me, or I get programmed for Breakin Convention, or I don't get like you're only thinking about you in relation to them. And then I think when you see something like this, you see that we're all that for in a different place. So he's probably thinking like that of other people, and it's probably not only the people as legendary as the legendary twins, but like it's probably other people that like you would imagine, like you start to see that crack, I guess, in the illusion that he's some, you know. I think when we see, how do I put this? But like when we see people in these big positions of power, especially when we really want their recognition, we imagine them sitting in a throne, just like, no, yes, like doing, you know, and it's like, they're just people like us who are trying to make their way and do the best they can. And it's like, I think it's nice for people to see this side of Jonesy and to see that, you know, these things mean something to him. And it's like, he's just a guy doing his best, trying to do what he can for the culture that he loves. You know what I mean?
And it's like he had a vision, you know, he had a vision, like it was the 20th anniversary actually. So he had a vision probably like 25 or, you know, 30 years ago of, okay, like this thing doesn't exist. I want to make it. And this is what all the artists that are trying to do something have. But then when you reach, you know, and so for sure, you know, people don't do things for awards, but it's also nice to be recognized and to be seen by other people, and also by your own community and by people who were at the origin of it. So it was all
pretty sick that it was a recognition from outside the UK also, I think. Yeah,
because they have no reason to, like, they're not trying to gain his favor. You know, they're just literally saying that based on his merit.
And I think it was something like they were meant to give this to him like
pandemic maybe,
but the pandemic happened, and then like they brought themselves here to give it to him in person. So it was.
Did you do? We have like Vice bingo all the time. You didn't do Harlem?
No.
There's definitely
that was one of the only ones I didn't do. Oh no, not one of the. That's the only ones I wished I did.
There is something very, because they were there then. But there is something about being like amongst it.
Yeah, even that was Harlem Apollo.
Yeah, like
legendary venue.
Wild. Yeah, we were shitting bricks.
I bet.
And we've done that set so many times, but you can just like feel that you're doing something
special, in a historical place.
Amazing that they came over, and amazing that he displayed emotion. I think
and you know, I think something. Also the legendary twins, like they were also, you know, it was a whole moment between all of them of like showing love, receiving it, and then just all like everybody sharing that moment together. So it was super special. I won't make it too long, but I'll just mention a few other things about the thing. So there was also a Breakin Convention youth dance company that performed.
Is that new?
I think so.
They've never had a youth dance company before, have they?
Yeah, I think it's from last year.
Oh yeah,
it's really, really recent.
Which was
I never knew of them having their own. I know they did project with the youth, but having their own company.
Yeah. So they did a nice showcase, and then
audition.
Gully South Block.
I'm too old, actually.
Gully South Block also did a really nice crump piece.
I love Gully South Block.
Yeah,
they're like so.
Yeah. For me, it's like what I love about them is like there's some dancers that are great at their style.
Yeah.
But there's other dancers who are great at their style and look fucking cool while they're doing it. And I think looking cool while you do something it's not an official part of what we do, but it kind of is. And it's like, there's people that I've seen that are like, it's almost like the nerds of the dance scene who are like amazing, but it's like you don't make it look pretty. It's like you just do the stuff, and on paper you're great, but and then people like Gully South Block who are like technically great at what they do, but just everything they fucking do looks cool as shit. And
you
like,
have yet to put a foot wrong, my G's.
Yeah.
So good.
Shout
I
out to
saw what
Gully
you did
South
at Far From Broadway, and I was just like,
you know what they also remind me of a little bit? Well, no, not remind me of, but what I kind of like is that I like us having a good crump group that puts on showcases, because it makes me feel like they're following Wipes' legacy.
oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? Because it was Wipes were always the Wet Wipes, for those that don't know, who were like one of maybe the original crump crew in the UK, and some like fucking legendary people. JD Reed, the music producer, if you don't know him, he was in it. Dominant Ricardo, who you've worked with, I think, right? But yeah, Wipes are amazing. But every time we did these like showcases, or like any of these whatever, Dancers Delight, all of that, it's like they were the crump representation. You know, there was always like maybe like a house piece and then like a crump piece. There wasn't really many popping stuff in those days, I don't think, not straight up like pieces in that realm, but there was always like a group that came and represented crump and like killed it, and everyone loved it. And I feel like Gully South Block are like that now.
I've just seen them, and it is similar to Wet Wipes in like the scope of the work they do, but like it can be a really lo-fi just shot of one of them. It can be a showcase thing in a more generic showcase way. It can be like they know composition, and like I'm just like, you're very good, and you're from fucking ends. I'm so here for it. Do not stop.
They have this talent, like you were saying about composition and like the structure and stuff, where like they have this thing where a lot of their showcases, they'll start in such a fucking sick atmosphere. Like they'll do something where they'll all be standing there with their hoods up, and then they'll just like a sound will come and they'll go boom, and I'm like, oh, I'm in. Like just one moment of that.
So sorry,
like,
Jenny, you're probably looking at us like this. Get it back. They did. Very excited.
They
did that Dancers. I think they did Dancers Delight one year, and there's just this like, oh my god,
that's one of the things I had in my head. It's like a little like groove thing that is like,
you're very clever. You're clever,
and it's a thing of like you can do almost nothing. But you just make it.
You just make it look
the flowers, lads.
Really good.
Big fan. If you got merch, I'll buy it.
I actually would.
Same. Not a mug.
Maybe make merch.
Because you got capsule ones, you don't need any more.
But I think, and this time they had like, because I don't know exactly how many people are in Gully South Block, but they had like a lot of people on stage. So I think maybe, I don't know if they had students or
family.
So it was like moments that it was kind of the core group, and then moments that there was a lot of them on stage. So I thought it was also cool to see,
work with a big group.
So to create different atmospheres.
Sick.
And I have to say, for me, stand out in that piece, Chiron. I think Chiron.
Chiron.
He
was in Trap Lord,
and also Quake, which was in the Breakin convention piece, and then right after the Gully South Block. So he like,
Quake was in it too. Okay, because I don't think he's in GSB. He's
like an affiliate. I don't
Quake.
know.
He is.
He performed with them on Friday.
I know. Okay, fair. Maybe he is new in it, because I didn't
like Definitives are on stage as well, and they're not in it. So
they have like a lot of like new like.
Maybe they just recruited.
Like also the D-Nice. Like also perform with them.
So if they recruited people like that, they're gonna. So you're already good. I didn't know you had these heavyweights as well.
But also I was like really happy. I mean, because Quake has just been doing so good in the battle scene and just killing it. But
such a hard worker.
But I was just. I told them also it was just so great to see him to see him on stage and kind of really pushing himself, and you can see that he's really going at it and just working on different aspects of his dance. So I was like, when I saw him in 2 pieces in a row opening the show, I was like, come on, let's go.
And he also did the piece at Thais's platform. Like doing his own putting his like, so he's really pushing himself in different ways, I think, which is
and then I mean, there were a lot of other pieces. The show, like I said at the beginning, the show was 4 hours and a half. So
there's a lot.
There was like a lot.
Whose did you hate the most?
I was going to say no, fine. But do we get a take on the twins, or are we staying away?
I mean, here's what I will say.
I wasn't even there.
I was very underwhelmed.
So fine.
And this is why, like, for me, there's no denying that Les Twins are like amazing dancers and that they've been trailblazers for the street dance scene and hip hop and, you know, kind of crossing over to mainstream. And, you know, I also understand that in the mixed bill of Breakin convention, like we said, there's some that are very showcasey and some that are theatery. So, you know, my expectations are always like, I'm not sure who's going to be doing what.
Right. Yeah.
But their showcase was legit. Like, one of them gets up, freestyles to a full song.
From a seat, right?
Yeah. And while the two others are sitting in the back, like, like over, you know, gassing, but like, you know, if you're in an audience full of dancers and everybody in the theater is like, okay, and you're on stage going crazy, like, it's kind of,
it didn't feel connected.
Or I understand that you're supporting the person who's dancing, but also there's just something that doesn't feel really honest about it. So, you know, in my head I was like, oh, I don't know if, you know, I don't know the conversation or the context of how they were programmed. If, you know, they just programmed to, come do a freestyle on stage, and or if it was supposed to be something else and that's what they did. I don't know. So but kind of given their level and their stature
and headlining,
it's kind of like, I would expect at least like
what Ghetto Fun Collective
a minute of choreography or not choreography, but a minute of like
unity.
Of we've thought about this for more than 5 minutes.
And the thing is, shout out to Jonathan Burrows' choreographer's handbook, which I gave Sophia to read as one of her capsule homeworks. But he does say in there that, like, we spoke about this, but like that improvisation is a valid tool and blah, blah, blah. However, the unfortunate reality is that if you're in a space where something's choreographed and you don't do choreography, you just do solos, there is a bit of a preconception that is like you didn't spend the time preparing, especially if you're freestylers. You know what I mean?
Well, listening to it changes immediately if you're not all sat down on chairs watching and like screaming from behind the dancer. Like, if it was just, what would it have been, 4 solos?
3 actually.
Still like, it would have been nice if it was a bit more fleshed out, but it formalizes it a lot to just spotlight human rather than, but maybe, was that their concept?
Yeah, maybe it was like an idea of how they wanted to do it.
I guess, you know, and for me, it's like, okay, you make the choices that you make, but I was watching this.
And it's also valid for you to be disappointed as an audience member.
Or not even,
that's fine.
Not even
just you had questions.
Well, it was funny is I spoke to someone who's a contemporary dancer. And I mentioned it and she was like, oh yeah, they were sick, because she didn't know them before. She was like, oh, they were really good. And I was like, oh, even like you didn't have any issues with it. And she's like, no, they were amazing. I was like, oh, okay.
That's
like, so
the only time I've heard that.
Yeah, I mean, but also it's like people in our world, we also are maybe we have expectations. Maybe if you've never seen them dance, you're like, you're probably going in not saying all this, what we're saying about choreography or setup or structure. You're just thinking, wow, there was an amazing dancer on stage. And you're not really, and probably, to be honest, a good portion of the reason it was sold out was the Twins.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I feel like Breakin convention pretty much sells out every year. Like, or it gets close to it. So it's not like the ticket sales are low and then all of a sudden it was super high.
Yeah. That's what I wonder, how many people were there for the Twins, or if it was just a sold out show that they were in.
And then kind of quickly going through
we don't need to go through all the rest of them.
You don't? Okay.
Unless there's any that you wanted particularly.
I mean, I really enjoyed the Ill Abilities one. But I feel like they just kind of always deliver at a level, and you know, that's kind of
seasoned performance.
And you know, that at their level of performance, even if obviously the concept of the crew is that they all have some form of disability, it's like you forget about that when you watch them, you know,
which is probably the best what they wanted.
Compagnie Nicolas Huchard from France.
I'm glad you said that, not me.
It was
Nicolas Huchard.
Also, like, very, very strong dancers. I mean, I had some thoughts about the piece, but generally speaking, like,
solid.
Yeah. Boy Blue. I mean, what you think you're gonna get from Boy Blue?
Yeah,
you get.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it was a very enjoyable evening. Mover from South Korea were also like also very good, also very, I think sometimes what we imagine, oh yeah, like a Korean b-boy crew, theater piece or showcase, like they do crazy power style, moves, and so yeah, that's kind of it. Enjoyable evening.
Cool. Shout out to everyone involved. Sounds wonderful. Congratulations on 20 years. I was there on the 10th anniversary. I performed on the 15th anniversary, and then got shingles for the 20th.
Hey, look at that.
So yeah, that's honestly, big congratulations. And I think we can always have opinions, and I'm very strong in my opinion that we're allowed to critique and have criticism for anything that someone does publicly, whether it be an event, whether it be a piece. Like, I think as artists, we need to be critiqued and we need to criticize other people in order to learn. However, that's not to say that, whether, any criticism I have of Breakin Convention is dwarfed by the fact that what they're doing is amazing and that it's an important platform, and whether it's one platform of many or it's like the main platform or however you want to see it, it's like the entire UK scene would be different if Breakin Convention didn't exist. It's like you said, it's like a meeting point. It's like a Christmas for dancers. It's somewhere that we can all go to year after year, know there's a certain level of brand consistency. Like, what a Breakin, it's not going to suddenly one year be like in a weird venue that's hard to, it's like, it's always the same place, it's always the same sort of vibe.
It's a staple
of the UK community. So I think it's and they do great work in between the shows, all the other stuff they do, open heart surgery, back to the lab, working with the youth company now. So I just think it's like they do amazing things, and it's important that we, as, without going too much into this, I think as people in the scene, especially in a kind of more closed community, when people start to do well and start to break out, we have a tendency to like
drop off,
or like pull them back. And it's like, no, like, we want everyone in our scene to be successful and to get paid and to do, but you're getting paid too much, or you're doing things well but in the wrong way, or I want you to do it like this. And we do this and we chip away at these people that are breaking out. And it's like, even if you disagree or don't like the way that somebody's doing it, any level of success, which is like, Breakin Convention, or even like lower level success, that opens doors for the rest of us. So I think there's someone was telling me this, and I can't remember what it was about. It was maybe about certain communities. I don't know if it was like Mormon communities or so. They used an analogy, but it was like, basically, we work internally. Like, we only go to our barbershops, we only go to our shops. So it might be like maybe black communities as well have this, where it's like we go to our people, but if there's an issue, we deal with it in-house. We don't go and bitch about you to other people. We take it to you and we say, I don't like the way you operate business, but I'm coming back next week to get you to cut my hair. But like, we don't go outwards and pull people down, because we still want our community to thrive, even if we disagree internally. And I think we need this a bit more maybe with the hip hop scene. Like, we need to disagree internally, but not like tear each other down when people are starting to do well. And I think, and this is me towing the line as someone that's now a self-proclaimed critic, but like, I think there's a very thin line that you need to be aware of between tearing someone down and criticizing. I think criticizing is fine, and critiquing and giving your opinions, and I think we need that, but we also need to elevate these people that are doing amazing things, because that, even if we're never going to be on Breakin Convention stage for the rest of our lives, what they're doing is going to open doors for the rest of us
in some way,
shape or form. Even if it's teaching a community class in Islington, it probably came because someone went to Breakin Convention. You know what I mean? So that was just my little speech that I've been holding in for a while, but I think it's really important, and
let it out.
Hold tight, Nava, that celebrated their 5th anniversary and co-hosted the Breakin Convention after party.
Killing it.
Wonder stroke from the BC team, because I love you so much, but the after parties ain't always gigging it. Michelle knows, I think that is fine. I think.
Is it Nava or Nava?
Good question. What did I say? I said Nava, didn't I? But I think you're right. Stefan says
something?
Nava. No, I don't think so.
So what is Nava? No,
so what does Nava?
What is it? Where did it come from?
I don't know. We can ask him. But yeah, happy 5th anniversary to members of our lovely scene.
Great stuff.
Created this delightful thing that we all get to share. They've actually got an event on the 28th,
I think.
6th. That's the Friday, isn't it? Yeah. It's a free one that they do every last Friday of the month.
That reminded me. That night, did you have more to say on that?
No, but I was going to go to the Ruggeds if that's what you were going to do. The handsomest crew in town are coming back, guys.
Yeah, and another shout out to Sadler's. This time, I believe it's Laura. Same team.
Yeah, it's a Breakin convention, no?
It is. I didn't
convention?
think it was, but I saw they posted in. It is BC Presents.
They're bringing back the Ruggeds for their show called State Shift, and Sadler's have given me and Sophia the invite to come and review the show.
What day?
Friday.
I'll be there Friday.
Bang. You can come on the pod if you want to.
Yeah.
So we'll the week after the 26th, probably, I don't know when we'll release it, but before.
Are you going to try and get them on?
Well, we were going to.
Fine.
No, it's not going to happen.
Oh,
the schedule's too tight. I'm landing from Sweden that morning, seeing the show, and then I think I had the Saturday free, but they're flying out Saturday. It's like,
not all of them though.
Okay.
Lee's here a while.
Okay, well maybe I'll reach out to them personally, because this was like, I think Sadler's didn't want to push their schedule because they're tight on the schedule with Sadler's.
Right.
But I think maybe if I reach out to them personally,
I'd say
maybe
so.
You guys. But yeah, I would love to have them on.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, sorry. You're like, we don't want to go on there.
And I'm
they're
like, we're busy.
For ages. They'll do it.
They're not doing anything.
But I've seen the show. I saw it when I was in Amsterdam.
You have?
Yeah,
Amazing.
but I saw it in a much smaller venue, and this is main stage, right?
Yeah.
Yep, as far as I know.
Mad.
Sick.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And I was really impressed with the last one.
It's just a duet and a solo this time as well.
Oh, it's not the one that they toured when we were touring with Roy and the Flexible one. No,
with Simon.
Yeah.
No, this is Roy and Lee, and then
that's
Sky
a good combo
Chief
as a solo.
Yeah, with music from Jesse.
Ooh,
they're so clever. Like I've said this to them, like they have shows for every setup,
every combo of people, and
they've got the fun family entertaining family one. They've got like the super conceptual one. They've got the one that's just a few of them, so it's easy to travel around. Like
#repertoire.
Is this a good producer decision?
Yeah.
No, as in not. Is it good? Is that who made that decision to do that? Is this like a producer strategy that has been put in place?
I mean, I'm not sure. It would make sense. Like I think in thinking about what the offer is, and also making smaller productions that are easier, like because in the last one I forget the name, but the family show, like they have a
the one with all the rooms.
Yeah.
I want to say Just Us, but it's not Just Us. It's like oh my
Between
God.
Us.
Between Us.
There you go. I would not have got there.
But yeah, I think this one is like, if you think of the size of the production also, it's like for sure that's a cargo, like, of the set. It's a lot of dancers. It's more expensive show. So it's like this one is a smaller cast, maybe more of a, where a smaller venue could probably afford to bring this, and where the artist, it's for a different audience. So I think, from a producer standpoint, like that would make sense as a strategy to be like, okay, that's where a lot of companies make money from touring. So it's like, okay, what shows do well on tour? If you have a cast of 7, that's a full company, but everybody has their own project going on too.
Yeah, especially breakers if they're battling.
Yeah, exactly. Where if they're not all available, then you can't tour the show. Right. Then that it becomes like restrictive for the income for them. So I think it does make sense to have a repertoire. Of different sizes, different productions, different audiences.
Flowers, lads.
We love the Ruggeds here.
Keep
at the
doing
Capsule. So next up we have this weekend.